There is no other understanding of a place like this one, ladies and gentlemen. We call this place the Green Hell. And the reason why, this is the longest circuit left in the world. It is the most challenging, it is the most demanding, and it is the most dangerous circuit remaining in the world. This is a circuit so dangerous, we couldn't just let our creators on it alone. Oh no, we decided we got to show them the ropes around this place. I'm Jake Sperry, that's John Harris. John, we're getting the pros out.
Oh yes, and what a track, as you said. Iconic corners, Flugplatz, Carousel, Tiergarten, you name them. Every single corner has had some sort of an issue over the pass, and it's just because it's a circuit that really pushes you to overstep the mark, to go for it and just hope for the best. And our creators know how to do that, but in the mix, with the GT3s, with the normal creators, we have the Porsche Cup cars as well. So, a little bit of balance of performance for our drivers today.
Yes, so you got the difference of how do you drive in GT3 spec, how do you drive in Porsche 992 Cup spec. They are two cars that have differences and you have to apply them differently in order to go and get the result that you are needed to. We are live here, of course, on iRacing and with Creator Series. So if you're here around with us for the party, go give us a like, a follow, a share, wherever you are watching from around the world and whatever platform you have jumped yourself on in with, because we are getting ourselves set and stoked for some truly magnificent battling. And I think one of the true keys that we are going to be seeing over the course of this run just has to be the track and how difficult it is, how long it is, and actually how difficult it is to practice.
Yeah, I know this myself, because apart from on simulators, say, in the past 20 years, in modern day stuff, I haven't actually completed a lap of this course. Now, I'm known in rallying for crashing into trees, and sadly that's remained consistent on the Nordschleife as well. So it's one of those circuits where you have to go into it with consistency mind rather than pace mind. And the problem with that is that upping the performance is nigh on impossible. Confidence is everything. So experience counts a lot around here, doesn't it, Jake?
It very much does, and that's why we talk about Nürburgring specialists. It's why in the real world you have to get a Nürburgring license to go out there and drive, and it's why drivers like Timo Glock, for example, has lost his license, now has to go from scratch again to go and re-get it if he wants to do Nürburgring racing. But let's talk this calendar of your Season 4 here on iRacing, because I think this is really important to note. This is the first of 3 special events that we have jumped on into. So this is the first of the 3, Creators versus Esports Legends. You've then got later on in the season the Soapbox Derby at Mount Washington, and finishing off with historic IMSA at Road America. I think that is going to be wonderful to get ourselves into it, John.
Yeah, for sure. So much variety and diversity around here, so that will just test the drivers. I mean, they're going to be tested today a lot, but for sure on the normal calendar, that is a selection of tracks where I think everybody will find their feet at least once during the event. So can't wait for that, and obviously the championship very close as it is, so there's always a chance for someone to slip up as well. You have to stay watching every single round.
You absolutely do, and there is going to be a lot of anticipation for where we are sitting in terms of this understanding. And we got drivers who are wanting to prove themselves out there, which includes the likes of Reska Kyoso, who's here and out. You can tell with the steering wheel there working right now. Reska on the back of a second place at Max Bounce Reglementation. How do you look to go one better today?
You know, I wish it was the same regulation here. I could do with the pressure of the one incident limit, I think, but we don't have any of that. So yeah, my consistency perhaps not so important, but you know, it's still the Nordschleife, so ideally you don't want to be going off anywhere or crashing. So I'll be trying to keep it clean, and yeah, hopefully the track will claim some victims, and I'll go through the order a little bit. Not expecting to be super quick, honestly, particularly compared to these Porsche Cups. They're looking very quick. But yeah, hopefully a consistent run will get me into a good spot here as well.
once we go on to the Duttinger Hoa, what's your favourite part of the track then? Because you seem to have a lot of experience around here.
Yeah, the section sort of between the carousel and the Duttinger Hoa, that's my favourite. I love the flow through there. When you have a car that's really does everything you want it to, and you just nail the sort of the line through there and carry all the speed. It's one of my most favourite places to drive in the sim. It's wonderful.
Right, Reska, I want to talk livery right now, and what you are driving is an iRacing. I will say Reski is out there and driving out there.
Yeah, this is Reski. I have to shout out my fellow VTuber, Ban and Greg, for commissioning this for me, and my team boss, Akito, for doing the design on this. It is a bespoke design, despite obviously resembling Rexy. But I love Reski. Reski is better than Rexy and Roxy anyway, so yeah, hopefully take Reski to a good spot today.
So I see we're going for intimidation tactics with the livery. What about that with the Porsche Cup cars? You have a little bit more power in the GT3, so can you use that to your advantage? What's your plan with that?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think we can, because we do have a bit more power, but the problem is that they still have higher top speed with their lower drag. So they're probably actually quicker on the straights. So keeping them behind on the Dottinger Hoa is going to be hard, honestly. I think we need to get a few creators to do a bit of 5 wide to block them. I think that might be the only way.
The old Top Gear maneuver where nobody is allowed to overtake. That is going to be perfect in terms of that goes. Reska, before we let you go off and charge and challenge out there with everybody looking to get themselves ready on this, what's your big concern over the opening couple of laps? Because when you've got a field that is going to be very close-knit and together going on to the Nordschleife for the first time, there's often a couple of corners which seem to catch out.
Yeah, there's so many pinch points at this racetrack, and you never know. Yeah, it's one of the hardest racetracks to do a race start. I mean, thankfully we've got the Grand Prix section. You know, that tends to spread people out a little bit rather than doing just the Nordschleife. So, you know, hopefully we'll be a little bit more spread out. But even then, you're always in a big train by the time you get to this section here, and that's when then things start to go wrong. So yeah, I just got to try and keep my wits about me and hope for a little bit of luck in navigating any incidents if they do happen in front of me.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck when it comes to action out there. Reska Kyoso, they're joining us and having a very good look. We're going to jump to the other way around, and we'll get Adam Nunez in to have a chat. Adam, times look good for you in practice right now, a 7:59, but you're still needing to find about 10 seconds on the truly top end that we see with Elvis Rankin. So I think this is going to be one where you're going to have your wits about you today.
Yeah, let me see if I can mute the radio. That's kind of already there, but yeah, I haven't run the Mustang at the Nürburgring in a while, but we just ran the Magello 12 with my team last night and got some decent results there. Obviously, Magello is not the Nürburgring, but I think the balance, also the setups they gave us, this feels very balanced. I'm happy about it. So, yeah, I haven't been trying to get a bit better at the Nürburgring. Still getting up to pace, I think, but at least I'm kind of in that upper half range. So there's definitely, because I'm pretty sure I'm a reserve, so I'm pretty sure they're going to stick me at the back. So I'm really going to have that pressure from the esports guys behind me, and then all the full times up front, if that's how they do the grid. So it's going to be fun.
You mentioned trying to find more consistency, more pace around this track. What's the most difficult part about it? Obviously, everybody knows the Nordschleife is really tricky, but what would you pinpoint?
I think I've been testing on the Ferrari and very different handling for both of those cars. So now with the Mustang, just trying to get that rotation down, because I can see when I look at the data, all my kind of like chunks of time are corner entry, and I know I can probably push my braking later, but my exits have been, I think, good. I was looking at the relative, and that's usually where I close in on some times just in the practice right now. But it's a difficult track.
very quickly, because I know we're about half a minute before gridding. I noticed that you've got the full racing suit on here today, so obviously looking to go very quick, or are you worried about many fire hazards in your position?
Yeah, I mean, damage is off, so we shouldn't have issues with the fuel tanks, but honestly, I hope that I might need to turn my AC down because it's already getting a bit warm in here. Yeah, I just had wasn't expecting an interview, so I just had like a basic t-shirt on. But I wish that I had speakers for my computer because then I can wear the helmet, but don't yet. So that's gonna be a future upgrade.
Well, we look forward to seeing full immersion in the not-too-distant future. Adam Nunez joining us and getting ready for racing action here, John, as we are getting ready for this Nürburgring to go an hour and a half. There is a guaranteed pit stop at play.
That's going to be crucial because, again, if we're thinking blocking tactics, a bit like we've seen this weekend throughout the whole racing and Creator Series and indeed in real life, you have to pick and choose your moments. So that will be a crucial part of the race. How much fuel you start with will be very crucial to performance as well. So it will be very interesting. I think going long into this race might be the play, but you'll have to wait and see where you are on the grid.
Yep, and that grid is now looking to set itself up. One thing that we can know is that Iron Panda is not in server, so will not take the start. So it will be Scotty Designs in the unsafety car who will have the control. Grand Pooh Bear will then go from third with fourth belonging then to Adam Nunez. Then it's Els Indriani and Lith Fox who sit then in fifth and sixth places. It's Des in seventh, along with Solstice in the eighth place, as Josh's Corner will line up ninth, alongside Ancephalosis making up your top 10. The Stag will go from 11th place, or the third unsafety car, as Sparks will be there in 12th. It will lead then to Josh Merrin and to Punja, as it looks like everyone's going to be playing Let's Try and Match the livery to where we are. Reska Kyoso then in 15th, with Love 46 in that 16th position, representing Kazakhstan, with Ryan Littlemore and Storm Molina 17th and 18th positions. Fulcrum Twitch TV in 19th position, along with Yellow Vision making up your top 20, with Charles Wimbley and Auburn Kyle 21st and 22nd. On the chase then, you've got Brendan Hyperstar and Mia Rose, and behind that, your pros. You've got Jordan Johnson in the 554 representing Solpec. You've got Jaden Munoz at Budosud, and then you've got the two Porsche Coanda drivers, you can say, in their Porsche Cup cars, Dan Amore from Trowbridge and Elvis Rankin from the United States of America. So that is the field as they get ready. There is an unsafety car at the back that is ready for action in case it is needed over the course of this race, and it will take a pretty big junk up to get that called out and into position. But critically here, John, they set themselves up along just off the exit here of the Dottinger Herb, and now look for this run from the tourist entrance all the way towards the start-finish line, which will be where turn one sits itself. Jordan Johnson electing to start this race from pit lane, and critically, here's your fun fact for the day. This is the longest toll road to nowhere in the world.
Indeed it is, yes. And that is just in fact in place to regulate the speed limit effectively, so that you can have no speed limits on the track. So it's a great get-around law for this track, and it's the one that makes it available to us still in real-world racing. So wonderful to see them get around those regulations. But as a track, this is the one where you have to be clever. Starting from the pit lane, I've seen it from quite a few drivers to get that extra little bit of fuel to do the overcut. So we'll have to wait and see. The thing is, right now, you start on the Grand Prix track, or at least part of it, and that is completely different to what you're about to get into.
Love 46 already looking to get animated and demonstrating to chat what the difficulties of today's race are going to be, and drivers will be looking around trying to warm up their tyres as much as they can in sim time. We're nearing 9 o'clock in the morning, so it'll be a cold, frantic start at 22 degrees track temperature here in the Rhineland Palatinate. here at Nürburgring. First ever circuit, actually, the Nürburgring, that I ever went round in terms of the worlds of circuits. So not bad for you first, is it? But it's going to be all about set yourself up, get yourself ready, and know that this is going to be about who can and who can't make their ways through. Josh's corner here in 8th position, a middle of the pack start here next to Solstice from the Netherlands, trying to work on through, one of 3 VTubers out there in this field, looking to prove that they have got what it takes. Working through then T30 and getting through to start this run, passing what is normally on the Grand Prix circuit, the likes then of the wonderful Hyundai X corner. A bit of contact from El Zindriani into the back then of Grand Poubert, but let's get ourselves ready as we get ourselves into position. This is an hour and a half here from the Nürburgring as the green flag drops and we get ourselves underway with racing action. Already they fan 3, 4 wide into turn 1. Oh, they're being brave and bold to begin this one outright. They leave each other the room. It was ultimately El Zindriani who had a lovely start to this race. They already look to go out there, be aggressive and say, look, this is where we're going to go. Mia Rose looking to start. Big spin already.
Lithium Fox spun round, and that is indeed quite a few cars caught up in that one, unfortunately. So I think just the tag at the back, there's a Mustang off as well in the background. So I think Sparks might have had a little bit of an impact as well. Reska Kyoso getting shuffled down the order. Yes, indeed, it is Nunes. So unfortunate for quite a few of our drivers, just getting caught out, I think, on cold tyres as well.
Goodyear Spanger, we're not using the full GP circuit. Oh, there's a big checkup as they work on forward. Your pros then together right now. Dana Moore and Elvis Rankin here with Mia Rose leading the chase. Brendan Hyperstar, then Jada Munoz. Look at the pushing here, going through the Bilstein curve and to the Falkenbogen up the hill to the Vidal chicanery as it is El Zindriani and Ancephallosis battling. Josh Merrin with a big gap at the front of the field trying to run away. Indriani struggling to ride. Littlemore now is going to try and get the push in the Audi up into third. It's going to get harried through the corner thanks to Josh's corner. The Stag goes through as well. Welcome to the Sabine Schmitz curve.
El Zindriani really getting pushed out, and so is Scotty Designs as well. The Sabine Schmitz curve there, the newly renamed curve, really starting the lap of the old circuit. Designs is a test track, and so he's going to test all up the inside. Argy-bargy, that's never going to end well. Both cars into the wall, can you believe it? Ryan and Josh's corner getting pulled out. I think they'll just be able to regain it. No damage on this one, so they can just keep on driving, but they got very lucky that they weren't spun round right there.
And because we're playing damageless, it is going to mean that if you do get involved, all you're going to have to do is get back on the noisy pedal and get back going again. And so for a circuit like this, doesn't it just amp up the aggressiveness as Reska Kyoso gets blocked heading to Flugplatz and almost had side-by-side with Scotty Designs, who had to lift and put Solstice in the window.
I think Reska made a mistake somewhere. They were right on the front pack, and then it's just lost about 5 car lengths. So that's really under pressure there for everybody. Reska Kyoso and downward. They're going to be fighting right now down into Arenberg. You've got to just go over Svinkoitz, and someone's got it wrong just off there. I think that might be Charles Wimbley, not quite sure. But
it's Fulcrum. Fulcrum into the side there of Punju, and ultimately roll over Sparks, who ended up on the wrong place of it. And all of this scrapping, all of this battling already here as they work then through Arenberg up to the foxhole and Ardenau first. They have got to be concerned that they will allow the Esports pros in, and the track's jammed up through the compression. It's El Zindriani and Scotty Designs.
Ah, incredible. I think there was contact before the corner even, just trying to fight for position on track, and that's going to shove them all the way down the order. And you've just got to be respectful. You've got to leave the gap, and sometimes you can miscommunicate. It's so easy on a track like this. There is no reprieve. Corners everywhere.
Yeah, and it's going to be troubles everywhere. How on earth Mia Rose and Elvis Rankin and Dana Moore found their way to jump through that group, that's beyond me. The level of work that had to be done at that phase to give just as much clearance. There is your leader right now, Josh Merrin. He's got a little bit deep there in that AMG Mercedes, trying to hold himself steady with behind Ancephalosis versus the Stag, the second place overall out there at this point. These battles on the opening lap, they're going to be fast, they're going to be frantic, but they are going to set themselves into groups as they are not a million miles away as they head up through Exmüller over towards Bergwerk, and the first big overtaking zone out there, which will be the long straight over towards the Bravery Bend, close to Tal, Den and Moot.
Yeah, you really have to be just on it, use all of the width of the track, because essentially you're just racing uphill a little bit, carrying the speed, so there's not much you can do about it as Ryan is still challenged by Josh's corner there. These two have been together since the start of the race. Hopefully no contact. Well, there you go, that's Grand Pooh Bear off. I think he's just been punted wide, and that's him shuffled down at least 4 positions. Porsche Cup cars are already right there chasing down.
Well, there was a lot to go through, and actually Solstice was the catalyst out there in that instant, and so much so, get this here, John. Oh, that's not great on the replay. Bang into the side swing to do. Solstice actually vaulted up and over, rolled over the top of the Armco barrier, and basically was reset back to pits. Has to take an almightily long time as we work ourselves then through past Muka, over now towards the Caracciolo Carousel, which will be coming up. Not this right-hander, the big braking zone here, as we're on board with Elvis Rankin here, but what follows immediately afterwards. And Rankin has been making the moves, but someone who hasn't been as lucky making those moves out on track, Miro. She's dropped a lot of time then being caught up here as Elvis looks to just pick and choose a way through.
Door completely slammed shut. Now, remember what Rescicioso was saying. The Porsche Cup car has better top speed, but not necessarily more power, just the way the aerodynamics work. So through the corners, you see the GT3 cars ahead just have a little bit more downforce, but the Porsche Cup cars have no traction control, no ABS, so these pro drivers are having to use all of their talent to keep up. They will have the chance to overtake, and we'll have to see whether GT3s can keep them behind on the straights. However, look, they are earning their pay, as they say, earning their talent and their right to call themselves the best just by following through. And I tell you what, they could be setting themselves up. Elvis just really just running the car ragged, and that is... Oh, that was near to disaster. I love this course for that.
Well, that's Brunchen Corner, John, and if you know anything about this Nürburgring circuit, as Punju is going to get scared off the road by Elvis Rankin, and that'll bring Dana Moore now to side-by-side heading through Flansgarten. If you know Brunchen very well, you know that's the corner where you see it on all the Crash compilation videos.
Yes, they've named it casually YouTube Corner, if I remember correctly. So yes, I do think that's the one of them. It just catches you out. You think it's a simple corner, and then you just try and put the accelerator on, but there's grass on the outside. What can you do? They have resurfaced that recently to add a little bit more runoff area. So yes, it's not here though to save them. So Sparks, I think, might be the next one in the firing line. So battling as well ahead. So the GT3's not making it easy for themselves. Small carousel. That is the Porsche Cup car alongside, and it should be both of them through. They might even bump draft it.
No, they won't. Sparks goes in. Contact for Elvis Rankin. Dana Moore now to the lead of those trying to chase. That's a big old smash up there to get through, and Sparks will have his head in his hand there with just how aggressive he tried to be at the Golden Cop. And now look at this with Punju. This is side drafting.
Yeah, there's nothing between them at the moment, and that Porsche Cup car is getting the draft from the car in front as well, so the two teammates trying to help each other out. I'll tell you what, that BMW has some punching power. We've seen it before in the GT3 class last season of our Creator Series, and just a little bit of a tap reminiscent of Max Verstappen into Tiergarten. Surely one of them has to give way. Punju, is he going to give way? Not quite, but the Porsche Quanda driver's able to get past there. Good fight though.
Ryan's around there. That's Ryan Littlemore, and I think Josh's corner's got back to him again and has punted him through into turn 13, just missing the braking zone. The Audi with the very short wheelbase, very difficult. You can see trying to slow that Macca down. You're not going to do it like that.
Yeah, such a tricky car sometimes. Just gives you confidence and a little bit understeering that car, but it can get you in trouble, and then you're trying to recover it. So Two goes into one at the end of Tiergarten. It doesn't really work out most of the times, and we saw it on display there. So the Coanda drivers once again just pedal to the metal at the moment. You can see they are P11 and P12 on your leaderboard, and it looks like they might get another position as one of the unsafety cars. Not exactly sure which one that is, but they are just going to get mugged around the outside. Both of them, they're letting them go, would you believe?
That is the unsafety car that, believe it or not here, John, started behind them.
Well, that's an interesting one. This race is chaotic and we love it in the creative series. I mean, everything will happen and more will happen, I can guarantee you, because this race, if you think it's simple, all you have to do is go around the corner and there's a car parked on the apex. There's not much you can do about it. I'd have to estimate about 80% of the corners are completely blind.
Yeah, and speaking of which, Jaden Munoz is one of them who's down in the pits, had a massive smash-up with Grand Poubert, and it's Des going into the Schwalbenschwanz to the point where I think he beached himself then out there and took the tow back to pits. So really had to suffer then with that, and not really much more that could be done. But these Coanda boys are currently having the best of the time at the moment as they chase. Brendan Hyperstar back in 20th position. Jordan Johnson from the pit lane in 22nd as they work through these opening left and right through Hatzenbach. They'll head themselves over to Hokaishan then as the next section. Now is where you can start putting pedal to metal and trying to get through. Ultimately, it's Storm Molina that they've got to go and get by. Charles Wimbley is giving just enough of a tow. Flugplatz isn't going to be the corner. Arenberg might be.
That was a takeoff briefly for the Porsche leading them at the moment. So Storm Molina just chasing Charles Wimbley, and that can knock your confidence. Oh, Storm Molina going around the outside. No way. No way into Schwedenkreuz. You don't want to do that in the best of times. So they're going to make it stick. Oh, a little bit of contact, but they have made it through. Arenberg below braking zone.
No!
It's just a tap. No, Storm Molina judging it wrong, and that is another Porsche in the gravel trap.
Yeah, you saw the smile there of nervousness then from Storm Molina. There's a bit of contact and suddenly you're now having to fend off on your own. Dana Moore and Elvis Rankin. Elvis, of course, a Skip Barber Formula iRacing Series third place runner and a real world Skip Barber Formula Series champion. And Dana Moore behind, the vice champion in the FIA F4 Esports Global Championship. So you've got really strong calibers of drivers behind. And then you've got the unsafety car and Punju. So just to add to the end of the list, they're there too.
Punju Creator Series WRC champion. That's a title that we should bring into the mix, as they say. Got lots of talent here on the grid, but you're quite right. I was just looking through the facts about these pro drivers just before the race. My God, we have some prodigies here. Both of the two Coanda drivers, winners of the iRacing Daytona 24 Hours, so they know endurance racing. They know picking your moments to the T. So even if you leave half a width on the inside, they will take their opportunity. They will know how to put you under pressure. And I tell you what, Elf is pushing Storm Molina right all the way around. It's incredible.
Oh, encephalosis. Watch out for this! Oh, contact there with Fulcrum, was trying to find a way to get around, and it's going to get back up to speed right in front of this group. This is heading up towards X-Muller as now it looks like Storm Molina is going to get another car in betwixt and between here as they work through, but I think that's going to be a lift. Just runs a little wide, catches the curb, catches the grass. Yeah, the grind's good, but you're not going to get points if you can't stick the landing.
Very unfortunate. And look where that's fired him out as well. Under pressure. Now it's encephalosis in the firing line, so that will be unfortunate. He won't be riding high on confidence as they go up through Kesselchen now to mid curve, and it's going to be so important to keep them behind. Look at that, Elvis still just under pressure. I'll tell you what, the unsafety car really hassling the second driver of Dan Amor. So really, it's interesting to see the differences. They've swapped positions. Indeed, they have.
And so that's going to be important to note. It's the 551 and the 552. And so with Dana Moore now taking this role, he'll be the one trying to chase through. Encephalosis wads it up. Big Porsche versus little Porsche out there at this point as the scrap between these two Leipzig-based vehicles continues on into the carousel.
Interesting fact about the Porsche Cup car is that although it doesn't have traction control, sometimes the GT3 can bog down if you mistime it, and so that can be an opportunity as well. I'll tell you what, Ancephalosis has some pace here. Storm Molina not getting away, and Ancephalosis more close to making an overtake than Dan is behind. But look at the speed these pros can carry right up to the gearbox, right up to the engine of the GT3 Porsche ahead, the 992. Oh, and the collision there, really close to just spinning it around. But thankfully, no harm done. Ancephalosis under a lot of pressure, it seems.
Oh, being chucked in every place you can. That might be slightly wide then, coming out of Espark here and now heading towards Brunchen. There's the look again. Just Dan Moore trying to be uber aggressive, trying to find this pass, just not knowing where Ancephalosis is going to hit the brakes. He is someone who prioritizes finish over anything else and sometimes doesn't have as much speed. Again, trying to look to open, up to under, up to under, up to under again. And now they're going to be nose to tail. Ancephalosis losing the back now, ever so slowly there, of what's going on here for Storm Molina. And look at that, repping the Spain kit in World Cup season.
I love to see that. Love to see everybody supporting their favourite teams. And I tell you what, this part of the track from Flansgarten all the way to the Kleines Carousel, which we're just about to approach in just a second, it's one of the fastest sort of moments on the track, and you have to have all of that speed. This is from France as they go around just bumping over the curbs. You have to take, they're just a hit, just a look. And you know, Ancephalosis covered it off, cut them off. But all it takes is just that 1 millimetre of gap, and they will just seize the opportunity now all the way around, and it will be on to the Duttinger Straight once again. Will we see some slipstreaming here? What will happen? Once again, round 2 of GT3 versus Cup Car.
Right, Ancephalosis in full bore power. Just in front of that, though, is the scrap for the lead. The Stag has closed down 5.5 seconds on this lap, so Josh Merrin's made a mistake somewhere over the course of this to be reeled in at the rate of knots, and I think it's just been a corner here, a corner there, and so the Stag now plays leader out then in this field. Side by side, they've cleared Ancephalosis here, and Punju is going to say, look, I want in on this. My BMW is very much a Porsche Cup car.
It's got the straight line speed at least, so it's a little bit less nimble. You can see that just by the size of it. It looks an up-tiered GT3 car, but it's really a bruiser, okay? If you come into contact with it, most of the times you're ending up worse. And look at this, just punching, absolutely trying to pressure them. And now it's the Porsche Cup cars doing the blocking. I didn't see this on the cards. I thought it would be the other way round.
Well, the good old Kawanda rope-a-dope 1-2. Working a treat there. Punju not able to find a way through the now truly iconic livery colours of purple, orange and white. I remember when they debuted those colours. That's how old I've been in the sim, and everyone went, are you sure? Are you sure that works? And everyone went, yeah, that's going to be good enough then, and said the Kawanda team, they're very happy for it. Lovely pass then on Storm Molina by both Dana Moore and Elvis Rankin. Rankin now the one who's ahead, and next up on the list is going to be Fulcrum.
This is a demonstration of teamwork. This is what you can do if you have two cars putting drivers under pressure. They can't cover off everywhere.
Oh, John Johnson spun around coming out of turn 4, was trying to lunge down the inside of Auburn Kyle, a driver who runs for the University of Auburn in the NASCAR College Series, and ultimately found out that GT3s are bigger and bulkier.
We're about to see just the tag. Yeah, I mean, collects the Porsche as well, the Cup car that was trying to do the overtake. Also, I think that was that Mia Rose having the contact. Yes, it was indeed. That's just so unfortunate, to be fair, to just end up trying to do the sort of under and over and just getting it miscalculated wrong to just catch the front of the GT3 there. Unfortunate.
Yeah, miscalculated and very tough to navigate by. Rescicioso here in 5th, watching Yellow Vision in 4th position, and Josh's corner in 3rd. So this is the secondary group out there working hard into Flume Flats. You can see how much wheel rotation that you need through that section, and the amount of fight and force feedback, very clear to see. This isn't one of your very nice modern racing circuits where it's paved to the edge of the green. This is bumpy.
Yeah, and you have to take a different approach in terms of just the slide, the little snap of oversteer. You could see it in the steering there, and that's a great indication to say that you are on the limit. But you can only do that if you've got confidence, because I can guarantee from personal experience, you will spin round it. I'll tell you what, I'll move once again.
Still side by side. They've been side by side since straight Royce, and now they'll fight through the compression here. Inside is now going to go the other way. Contact. Yellow Vision goes sliding. Reska says thank you very much. Into the wall. Then goes the very awkward position then of that Mustang that will see Fulcrum go through, and just up to speed at the right time. Unfortunately for the pros, blocks off Elvis Rankin, who goes for the up and under off of Ardenauer first, and now is going to try and get the move on the outside to Megetsfeld.
That would have been the best save ever for Yellow Vision there. It was so close to being savable. Oh! Rankin just being pushed onto the grass there. The GT3s again bullying a little bit just with their size and weight. And to the inside. So Elvis just not wanting to take any hassle. I tell you what, the GT3's been pushed into the barrier. That Ford Mustang loses out. Yellow Vision will feel a little bit battered and bruised after that one.
Well, let's turn it around and put this into perspective here, John. They've got another hour and 10 minutes of this.
Now we all know that the race is won in the first corner, right?
One in the first 5 minutes. Always has been.
Indeed, well, the consistency is everything around this course, so they are pushing flat out, but it only takes one mistake, and you could end up like Solstice, unfortunately, half a lap down because they had to reset to the pit lane. So it doesn't reward pushing too much, and it punishes mistakes, this track. So as Nicky Lauda found out, for example, in 1976 at the corner we're just about to approach.
Yeah. This is the Lauda Links, named aptly because of the incident that Nicky Lauda had coming up soon. So you go through Bergberg, and here, this is the Lauda Links, and this was where that moment happened. 3 races lost, a lot of skin grafting having to be done. Biggest movers, Fulcrum, your biggest up there, plus 13, along with Yellow Vision and with the unsafety car in terms of moves made. But I would argue here, Elvis Rankin in his class, biggest mover right now, up 20 as far as it goes, and now looking to close up to the back of Fulcrum to go get the next move sorted. So works through the mute curve, up over the top of this little crest, over to the next section of road, and now needing to find a way to just sit onto the back, work through, and basically this is one of those circuits where you can cut it in halves.
Certainly can. It's got different areas where you can just, have a different line. There've been different layouts over the years, actually. Parts of the track has been sort of reshaped over the years. So the ability to cut out the carousel is quite useful for some car testing if you don't want to completely destroy the suspension. The good news is that the Creator Series, we don't worry about that.
Now, Solstice leads because Solstice has cut the corner and taken the Grand Prix layout instead of the full Nordschleife. And once,
well, that's one way to do it.
Once a black flag cleared to go back to the race lead. It's clever. Don't give it. Please don't.
It's a good gambit. I'll give them points for trying, that's for sure. But I think our race director's a little bit more canny than that, as they say. Just a little bit of a bump there on the curb for Dan, and that could have been disastrous as well. Just fighting the car. And again, that is Fulcrum just off onto the gravel. Just a sniff of an overtake opportunity, and both are through.
Look at that. It's as simple as that in terms of how you make the move. It is quick, it is efficient, it is Elvis and Dan just saying, look, we are going to be this 1-2 dynamo punch through each and every creator. But here's the difficult thing about this. With every creator they get to, it gets more and more difficult because they get quicker and quicker.
Did you see that twitch of oversteer from Dan there, nearly losing the car, having to take 2 stabs of oversteer just to save it? Lost a few car lengths, but still in the slipstream. It's one of these tracks that you just cannot afford to lose concentration, even for a millisecond, because as you can see, the suspension set up so stiff, even on a track like this, that you are bouncing, you are sort of testing the limits. You don't have that traction control or stability control to stabilize the car and effectively save your bacon. So you have to just be confident in your skills. And I will say, although it doesn't reward risks, it does reward confidence, this track, because you can take a lot of speed into these fast-flowing corners.
You can, but there's no corners here on the Dottinger Herb. You just got to hold yourself steady and take what is a straight that will never be produced in racing ever again. Fulcrum under pressure here from Yellow Vision, and now the bump comes along from the Coanda teammates just in front. They're at 278, Elvis Rankin and co. 282 in a straight line. 4 kilometers an hour. Doesn't sound like much. It's a lot between these machineries here.
Yeah, it can make the difference between making an overtake or being stuck alongside still Solstice, as they're letting the leaders through, so Stag goes through, and Josh Merrin, so Solstice down to P3, still waiting for that penalty to potentially, maybe, question-markingly be cleared. We'll have to wait and see. And Elvis Rankin up to P6 already, just want to point that out.
John, I just want to point something out as well. Head steward, normally, is the Stag today. Why would the Stag get rid of that penalty when the Stag leads?
Is this what we were talking about pre-race when we said we'd do the top gear blocking? Now I'm starting to understand. It's all coming together.
Yeah, those pieces of the puzzle are slowly falling into position. We've lost the likes of Brian Littlemore, for example, and they've seen just how tough a day like this can be as they push on forward. Solstice is back up to speed then and is running around on circuit, but critically has got into the picture just in front of Elvis Rankin and Dan Amore, who are, well, I would say we're going to have to break the meme out again here, John. They're 6th and 7th.
I was hoping you wouldn't do that, but seeing as we're leaning into it, definitely they'll be hoping to have all of the memes on their side. They'll need a little bit more than that throughout the lap, as we've still got a lot of cars just completely pushing. And Josh's corner, I'll tell you what, is pushing at a vast rate of knots. Reska Kyoto in P2 now, so these are just on the limit. You can see the Fanatec wheel there just moving a little bit left and right. You're testing for the grip. And you need to be confident when you turn in that the car will react to what you do. So you see the driver sawing at the wheel a little bit, but that also shows how bumpy the track is. The force feedback will shake your arms, well, literally off of yourself sometimes, and you can't feel your muscles at the end of the race. So it's one of those tracks that tests your fitness as well, and I think maybe Reska Kyoto feeling a little bit of that. 15 seconds away from the Stag now.
This is Josh Merrin, and this is why Josh Merrin is now in 4th. Oh.
Did they get
Pulls
lost?
that over to one side, I think, with something that's gone a little bit wrong, and then needing to do a quick out and in of something like the steering wheel, for example, to get that back to speed again. So now back to 4th. This suddenly becomes a very interesting group of 3. That sits in front of Elvis Rankin, Dan Amore, and I know Yellow Vision as well.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is Josh Merrin didn't lose too much time, but losing 2 positions is arguably worse because you have to get past, and it can sometimes take you half a lap around here to set up an overtake or to pressure someone into it. So it's really going to come down to whether these two make a mistake in front. Josh's corner seems to be on the attack at the moment. Reska Kyoto can't get away. And I tell you what, Reska's taking the defensive line, and it's really not working out of the corners. This could be set up for an overtake here. Definitely closer is Josh's corner.
Yeah, so Josh's corner could be looking at a way through, but the worry as well for Reska Kyoto in the 113 is that Josh's corner has literally been up in everybody's business all race long, and he has certainly been taking the Season 4 NASCAR vibe to another level by using the chrome horn to make all the moves.
Well, look, if you continue to practice the moves on other people, even if they're not if they're unsuccessful, you will eventually pull off a clean overtake. And I see the reasoning behind that. It's on a track like this, it may work actually. Reska going very deep there, just leaving the braking a little bit too late. It's going to be, well, no, it's not going to be an overtake. They're going to carry it all the way down the straight field. So will it be last and late breakers? A break at the same time, so it'll be ex-Muda to decide it, and it's Josh's corner through even before that corner.
Yeah, brilliant from Josh's corner. Breitscheid making a very, very important, I would say, juncture as far as their move's gone. But Reska's not giving this one up. Going to come straight back at Bergwer to make the move. Oh, you don't see many moves that come back at Bergwerk.
That was impressive to just get the traction, get the pull out of Ex-Müller to just get it done. And you can see, just using the slipstream around the outside, Josh's corner, probably a little bit scared from that little bit of contact. And wow, just a clean overtake through up the inside.
Yeah, clean as a whistle, and for Kyoto, this is now a case of avoid all the drama, avoid all the problems out there that are befalling those around. Just try and focus on pace. The one issue they've got is that the Stag is starting to think about running away at the front of this pack. Josh's corner now to defend because Josh Merrin has rejoined the back and will look to defend. But here's the other side of the coin that you run with. Elvis Rankin, Dan Amor, they are there. They are closing it down. On that last lap, they were the quickest out there on track by a 10th over the Stag. So they need to close at a rate. There's a lot more of that. This is a 8-minute lap that they're running out there, so they need to close at a rate at the moment with the gap that they've got of about 3 seconds a lap.
Yeah, I was about to say the gap has then closed to this pack by about 3 seconds. The Stag was 15 seconds ahead of this pack at the start of the lap, so it's definitely going the way of the Cup cars at the moment that you can see in the background. Also, visual. Oh, hang on, Josh Merrin's dropped back. What has gone on there? Just losing a couple of car lengths, maybe having it again to reset something or just adjust something on the wheel. Perhaps it was right on the gearbox of Josh's corner, and that's half the gap once again. So visual distance is actually really important around this track. It gives you sort of a visual comparison to see if anything's going wrong. It also gives you a certainty that nothing is going wrong on the corner in front of you because there's no car effectively slowing down. So it can be an extra sort of confidence booster to see, oh, wow, Josh Merrin all the way onto the grass, recovered it, but it's going to be super slow. And that is surely Elvis past, maybe. It's going to be close.
It's tough at Flansgarten. You can't do it there. Now you need to look over to the Stefan Beloff S as the next place to get that run, and then the Schrabenschranz that follows on immediately after that. Look at how aggressive you've got to try and flick it through the left, right, left, straight lining with as much as you can. Curb taken, and Merrin, right-hand side, clearly has an issue and is going to let everybody go.
From running P2 all the way down now to P7, hopefully they can just keep going, fix the issue, and then get back up the order. Yellowvision profits from that as well, but Resto Kyoto still under pressure. Josh Merrin will be just staring, Josh's corner, sorry, will be staring at that gearbox all the time. A great run though onto the Dottinger Straights, however, this could set them up side by side into Tiergarten.
It can, and Josh's corner, I think, realises here, third in class, that this is going to be a case of I need to get to second here with where Resto Kyoto is. Behind that, you've got Rankin and Moore, and then Yellowvision trying to get in onto the party, trying to get as slippy as possible right now here in the Mustang, which is very good in a straight line. Reski, you should say, trying to get it sorted, but Josh's corner is there, and the Stag takes service, so that now adds a little bit of a something over to the way that this race is going to go, because they have fuel limit at 60% of a tank, so that's going to be enough to see the GTs in. The Porsches going an extra lap longer, and they'll need less fuel at the final stop.
I did think they were lifting and coasting. I didn't want to say anything in case I was mistaken, but they were just lifting behind other drivers, saving the fuel, maybe even swapping positions as well from time to time, just to get that extra lap of fuel out. And that will be such a big bonus, because now they can run in clean air, they can push the lap time, push the performance, and not worry about having to do any overtakes. So I think just every one of the GT3s going until their fuel tank is empty, and now they'll have to go again. And I tell you what, that puts them under pressure to finish the race. They may have to make another pit stop.
They might have to, because you're looking around at it, that would indicate two-stop territory.
Yeah.
And it's still two-stop territory out there for the Porsches, but the result of it is it will be their final lap that you have to look at in terms of where they go. So in the pit stop, Storm Molina's got a big jump out there. Fulcrum through. Punju has left out there. Cars that have not maybe gone and done too much there. The Stag and Yellowvision together as they come out of the pit. Solstice still to serve the penalty that's there. But critically, it's Yellowvision now who leads that category and maybe took less fuel and will have to pay the piper back later on.
The Stag's slow. The Stag is very slow on this opening corners. You've got Josh's corner just pushing the Stag through, and yeah, the Stag is really struggling. Maybe a tire change, yes. I wouldn't expect so. Maybe that's a mistake from the Stag, because you wouldn't change tires surely in such a short race.
You would if you're the Stag, because the Stag does not concern itself with the state of tyres.
Yes, cancel all that I said. That's a very clear explanation and certainly the truth.
So, through goes Josh's corner, and making an all-important move there with Storm Molina, Punju, Grand Pooh Bear, Fulcrum, Sparks. They're all together on the circuit, working hard to try and get this race to set in the way that it needs to at this moment, with 55 and 41 remaining on the clock for the opening corners of this fabled Nordschleife out there, and how difficult of a circuit this has proven to be time and time and time again. And so I would be turning around, having a little look through these opening corners. You set yourself up. There is no easy braking zone at the start. It looks like it is simple, that you just got rights and lefts and rights and lefts. Each right and left slightly different, and with the way that this circuit has been used over the years, a lot more camber into corners than people expect.
Yeah, and also a lot more bumpiness, so the surface evolves, and if it's not reset, if it's not relayed effectively, you could just get more and more sort of a ripple effect that you see at some F1 tracks as well. And it also plays into the nature of the terrain. It's quite a hilly terrain. It does evolve year on year, and so it's especially when you want to keep the nature of the track as close as possible to the original, then you just leave it be and let the drivers cope with it. And you can see Punju here got a great run on Storm Molina, choosing to go round the outside into Schwedenkreuz, down into Arenberg in just a second, and just cutting the nose off of Storm Molina. Storm Molina backing out of it and not wanting anything to do with that.
John, did you see how stressed there that Punju was trying to make that pass?
He was hanging on for dear life, and I would be as well if I'm trying to do an overtake round the outside there.
Wow. Sparks, by comparison, all smiles, no worries at all, made bed. It's the perfect trinity.
Low cortisol racing, high cortisol racing for Punju all the way off the course, I think that was. Maybe a rejoin. Yes, it does. It's Grand Pooh Bear, yes, indeed rejoins, but that was medium cortisol racing.
Yeah, that is what we would call suboptimal and time loss then on the any percent that Grand Pooh Bear's going for there. Just overcooked it into the corner and then had to really fight to go gather it back. Took the slow down penalty. Thank you very much then, says Sparks, to go and move on up and take that one away to be what is currently on circuit in 12th place then, with that effort and attempt. Punju now having a good job, but you look into this next section. The Stag back through then on Josh's corner and looking to go and use a little bit of that grunt of the Mustang out there. I'd like to say of the GT3 category there, the Mustang is the Nokia 3310.
Yeah, aerodynamically as well, if I'm sure if you put them in winter, they would have the exact same results. However, it has a lot of grunt, so the Lion does not the Stallion does not concern itself with aerodynamics.
No, definitely doesn't. This is all about straight line for the Stag and trying to mitigate the damage that may be found from many other competitors out there who could make a huge amount of difference. So, right now as it stands, two cars way off the back, which is El Zindriani and Jaden Munoz. At this moment in time, it is a litany of who's who. You've got Orban Kyle and Love 46 in a battle with Brendan Hyperstar at the moment, as well as there is Jaden Munoz at the moment, representing Burosud out there, which by German translation, Burosud goes to mean Office South.
It does indeed, yes. Now, what that's reference to, I actually don't know, I'll be honest. But it's one of those...
Because it's based in Munich.
Oh, that would make sense, actually. Yes, that's probably correct, or in the ballpark at least. But it's a team that is completely on track with every single sim that I know out there, including where I'm from. And just anytime you see their name on the side of a car, you know they are going to be rapid.
Yeah, when you see the zebra print, you tend to run the other way because they're not the hunted, they are the hunters in the sim racing sphere. And that much we know without any worry at all of saying otherwise. Still though, it's about keeping this pace up, and we focus on through here the second half of the circuit, running through. Oh, big off, huge off there through over at Vipperman for Josh's corner. Now working through Esbach over to Brunchen, and it's going to bite you every single time through this section of circuit. You just have to be so patient after a chance to stretch your legs.
Yeah, the good news for Josh's corner and everyone else is that Ryan Littlemore won the any percent barrier speedrun event, so they don't have to think about that time anymore. It's already been won and they can hit the barrier safely. But for sure around this course you don't want to lose confidence, especially when you've got 50 minutes of racing left. And I'll tell you what, hang on a minute, the gap has just completely gone out in front. Elphys Rankin with nearly 5 seconds over Dana Moore there, so they are not bump drafting anymore, and Elphys put pedal to the metal.
I see why. Dana Moore has had a big old mistake coming through. Oh, it was over the top just before the Stefan Beloff S got loose, smacked the wall about 2 or 3 times. It's going to be very fortunate there's no damage available then to put the race out of kilter for the Wiltshireman. But critically, it now means there's daylight and there isn't fuel-saving opportunities for these two.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's exactly where we saw them get loose the previous lap. Yes, it is indeed just over here with all of the bumps and all of the just lifting. Oh! That's exactly what happened last lap, and just straight into the barrier. Just again, the little wiggle before the jump, and they are so lucky that the car just rectifies itself and they're able to carry on. But look, just the wiggle. Just as you go over the crest, it goes loose on the front, and the bounce just makes sure that any steering lock that you have will unsettle the car, and at that point you're a passenger.
Oh, Dana Moore is going to be a lucky fellow still in this race, but this has really shown you where differences are. Solstice, of course, has made service already and is going to take some time. She is at the front of the field, but critically, as far as this goes, has the penalty and will need to try and find a way to go forward and make something happen. We do note as well that Grand Poubert is back in the pits, so that has been a tow back to pits, not something that we were expecting there.
It looks like they were struggling with some sort of issue, so maybe a tow back to pits to solve an issue, get a reset, and unfortunately that will put them effectively a lap down, or at least a partial half of a lap down. So a bit unfortunate for them, but then again they can carry on the race, as it looks like Storm Molina still pressuring Punju. So the overtake that we saw earlier, nearly a lap ago now actually, to be fair, and they're still line astern.
Yeah, it might be something throttle related that sounded very weird before hitting the brakes, and so differences being made. So out and away again has gone Dana Moore and Elphys Rankin. Not actually that much between them here, but they're behind. Sparks, Fulcrum, Storm Molina, Punju, they've got to do all that work again.
Yeah, I think crucially that lap that they had just in clean air, it was the opportunity to just jump a few people in the pits. You know, they've got themselves right back up to Sparks, but they would have been probably down in sort of P14 area if they didn't use all of that lap to just push the limits. But I will say possibly they also spent the lap lifting and coasting, perhaps. I didn't really see their lap times, to be fair, before I got my telemetry back. So yeah, it may be just they were saving fuel, trying to just eke out that extra lap, and it hasn't worked out. Both of them on the same strategy, however, so they are committed and locked in.
7:56 coming in to the pits. Dana Moore and 8:01 with the mistake. So I think that was still pushing in terms of lap wide in front there, and a position lost then for Punju on that run by. Did 8:40s and 8:46. Sparks had 8:35 going through transit into lane. So there are differences in terms of stop length as well, and I think it might even be something where you're going, well, how quickly do we get fuel in the car? And so if they are still on the back foot and trying to work hard for it, I look around at Yellow Vision, they've still got to try and claw back. somewhere to the tune of about 15, 16 to 20 seconds here. Still not out the realms of possibility. They're going to need some help though.
At least they're not refuel. Actually, I'm just looking at the pit stops right now. You are quite right. The pit stops were about the 22-second mark for the GT3s. They were in the 40 to 42 seconds for the Porsche Cup cars. So I think they're just using normal petrol pumps to refuel. And that 20 seconds is what's bumped them down the order. Otherwise, they'd be up in maybe P4, P5, something like that. So it makes a huge difference where you have to do all of the racing and overtaking on track again.
Yeah, but here's the flip side of it, John. That final pit stop, they'll only need a lap of fuel.
Yes, indeed. It will be sort of the splash and dash for glory. But they may even decide to offset it, to be fair. They might do one car in one lap, the other car in the other lap if they're fighting for the victory. We know how the pros are like. They will take any opportunity to maybe snag a win here and there. As Punju's still chasing, this time Stormalina in front. So will we see another overtake at the same point of the course? We'll have to wait and see. They're actually through that, actually. They're at just a few corners ahead of where the overtake happened. And now, this is the most tricky section, I think, of the course. Downhill, lots of braking corners, trail braking, and if it just gets one wheel on the grass or gets loose on you, you are spinning out.
Callan Hard, Versiphon, and the likes of what Jimmy Broadbent calls miss out there. You can never hit an apex through there when you need one. But they work hard into the next left-hander, attack off at the exit and say, right, we're clear of it, but now we're heading to Slipstream Alley soon because you're going through this next left-hander up for X-Muller the right, and so that is going to set you into position of going, okay, the worry now begins from here.
And the main problem here is the bumpiness through X-Muller. Look at how much time Sparks lost with, I think, the traction control just kicking in. And now Elvis is just completely on his gearbox and he's having to go defensive into Bergwerk, and that's just not going to help on the exit. Then you might see the overlap. You will see the overlap, but it's a long way to go around the outside of that Audi. And I tell you what, with the slipstream, it's not going to work out.
Boy, Audi, how is that looking to fight? Because they're getting a monster tow here on Fulcrum, and this might be a case of turn defense to attack, 2 tires in the grass, and now Elvis is going to try and push, force it to 2-wide situation, and then get the scraps from it, whichever way it needs to be. Looks like outside might have to be, lift off of it, can't get the run, so stay where you are. Danamore watching, stalking this one from behind at 1.4 seconds. Definitely going to want to try and get in up over the top of this miniature crash, back on the brakes again, and Fulcrum has it covered, but Elvis knows it's a one-line suits all corner next. If I can get to the inside on the brakes here for the Caracciolo carousel, that's going to be big. Can't get there. Named after Rudolf Caracciolo, who is one of the most amazing drivers in the pre-war era out there in the original silver Mercedes, the Silver Arrow.
Yeah, that's a callback. And back when racing was all about just testing the limits of how far you could go until the car failed effectively. That's why this course was designed, to test every single component. It's why, you referenced it earlier, Jake, why they've got such a long straight as well, to test the top speed of the cars back in the 1920s and 30s. And I'll tell you what, it worked with the German engineering in the 50s. They were dominant as well.
They certainly were. The Italians also tried to do something similar of a concept, John, with the Nardo test track.
Yeah, they did, but Fiat were a little bit more keen on having their own personal private test track, and sometimes on the top of their buildings as well in Turin. So it's one of those things that you take different concepts, and I think just in the German sort of rule book of making a car, it has to be fast around the circuit, and that's what I love about German car manufacturers, especially Porsche. They always test their cars on this track, still even now today.
Oh, look at the push at Flanscott. Can't get anywhere around Fulcrum right now. Represents in the Sim Mexico, so guess what? Oh, again. Big jump over from Elvis Rankin, holds it. We've got a new Minister of Defence.
We certainly have. Fulcrum definitely just putting in the works in terms of placing that big old BMW exactly where the Coanda drivers don't want it. And you can see again the lifting of the front axle, and it just ripples throughout the entire car. It wouldn't surprise me if we see another off from one of these Coanda drivers or any of the Porsche Cup cars. They seem, well, they don't have as much front downforce. You can look at the front splitter and see there's a lot of air passing underneath, and that's the problem, is that it's lifting up. If you ever saw, for example, Le Mans in 1999, you know what happens when air gets underneath the car. It's not pretty.
No, especially if you're Australian and your name's Mark Webber.
Yeah, indeed. Among others as well. Not the only one to fall foul to that, but just that pocket of air that gets underneath it unsettles everything. It unloads the suspension, and what that means is when you drop down, the springs aren't compressed. Yeah, indeed. They might go for it. They're bump drafting at the moment.
Oh, look at this!
Not able to defend. Look at this, the top speed. We were talking about it earlier. They're going to be clean around the outside. 4 through Tiergarten. Can you believe it? Who's going to get it? The Coanda drivers might get the sparks defending. Not pretty, but they've made it through somehow.
How on earth are they all together? Dana Moore ends up on the wrong side, trying to go through. Solstice is stopped there on the right side as well, trying to avoid any sort of drama out there. Desperately is now needing to get a clear of the penalty. At this point, bang, is the contact there that shoves Dana Moore out after trying to push down to the inside. Very, very tough to go and navigate through, but Dana Moore here, knowing this is his race, he's got to get by these drivers, got to do it quickly, and literally needs to find a way around the outside, back to the inside here to go and make the move, and gets one, but now needs to get by Sparks because Elvis is already to the back of Punju.
Well, we can award the Top Gear-esque defence trophy to Fulcrum. That was an incredible defence for nigh on basically a whole lap of the Nordschleife versus 2 esports drivers from Coanda. That's no mean feat, but with Dan released from that defence, Sparks wasn't so keen to mount a challenge. And I tell you what, look at the gap. Again, that 4 seconds that Elvis has managed to pull over Dan, and I think that will be a marker for the end of the race. It's so difficult to close in a gap on a pro.
It's really tough to close any gap on any professional out there who is trying to go and navigate through and knows the ins and outs of a track like this and can go to a level where everybody else maybe doesn't necessarily have the same amount of pace and prowess and is relying on the car basically to equalize the difference out there. Elvis absolutely pushing here through the opening sector, and now look at this, trying to keep going. Up, left, right, trying to find a way through this contact. And there is the tap on forward that says Elvis Rankin goes on by, giving Punju a flick of the tail as if he was Elfyn Evans.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, that move was always on the cards. Just left, right, and just making your opponent panic effectively. And so the move was on already. You can see the smile there, chatting about it, the grin on Punju's face. He knew it was going to happen all the time, but the punt was just the extra flair, the unnecessary move of saying, look, I've got you already, you may as well give up the position. But if I know Punju, he'll try and get it back no matter what. We'll have to see what happens. Elvis just a little bit wide in over the crest there and just getting a bit loose, so losing a bit of time. However, I would say the Porsche's, the Cup car at least, is a bit faster in this section of the track.
It is, and now Elvis Rankin has the chance to break towards Storm Molina, who's in 4th position. And I want to turn attention to the very top of the field. The Stag has got the gap down to 0.6.
I can't believe that. The Stag is just on one at the moment, and both these drivers in the Ford Mustang, so there's no car difference, there's no car performance that you can use to your advantage to get past. This is going to have to just be a pure pace overtake, and just look at the lines the Stag has taken through. Again, missing the apexes there, but that's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, you got to just try and find the way to say, right, I am going to jump, I am going to gain the time, the effort, the energy, the placement, the positions, and I am going to be working with this to a level where everybody else around now needs to be at my level. At this stage in time, the Stag is proving that the tyre offset is making a huge difference now, because on that last lap, he took 2 seconds out of yellow vision.
Yeah, the funny thing is, he was taking 2 seconds out even on the first stint, so I think this is just pure pace, and I don't expect the tyres to make that much of a difference, but it must be said also, you are putting a lot of pressure on them, so maybe I'm underestimating the amount of usage the tyres get around the Nordschleife. You've got no way to cool them off on any long straights unless you get to Duttinger, and by that point you don't really need to cool them down anyway, you just need to go at maximum top speed. But as we head up to the Kesselchen and all the way up to Mudkurve, it's one part of the track where there's no realistic overtaking opportunities until at least Plantsgarden.
Yeah, it's very tough. Dana Moore is understanding this as well. Trying to get by Sparks is really struggling in that regard. No move offered then through this section and over towards the carousel once again. Elvis Rankin currently in 5th. Dana Moore's got his side-by-side now here with Sparks. Let's try and cut back to that then, as we've got this going on at the moment. Move is not offered up at the Moot curve, and that's going to be really frustrating, as will Mia Rose at the moment, trying to get by Love 46, a battle of two very talented talents out there.
Yeah, indeed, they're just always on it in terms of the racing. Love 46, well known to our community for just putting in outlandish performances. And Mia Rose, I tell you what, if you enter a sim racing event and you see Mia Rose on the list, you know you're in for a tough race. And look at that move into Midkurve. That's incredible, just car placement. I can't believe I've just seen that. And Nürburgring Kyle might be going around the outside of Love 46 as well. Yes, the move has been done. Opportunistic. No, Love 46 defends it. Just able to get the power down once again. Just a little bit of argy-bargy in there. And the GT3s are going to battle while Mia Rose just pulls off into the distance.
Yeah, just building the margin, just building the gap. And, leaving the carousel slightly early. There goes half a second.
Trying to get the jump. I think just the calculation there was maybe if I step on the throttle I can get around the outside, but it just spits you out. And when you don't have the camber to help you, your car just goes full understeer and there's not much you can do about it. So a great attempt, but it didn't work out there, and you'll have to wait. And Love 46 probably knew that and knew that she was about to get a little bit of a reprieve. Meanwhile at the front, Yellow Vision still carrying on, but that car is looking very skittish, quite understeery as well, and you think it's only a matter of time before Stag seems to pull off the small carousel, and again wide for Yellow Vision. This is going to put them under so much pressure onto the Duttinger straight in just a minute here. Round the final, sweeping the last turns onto what I'd call the main straight of the event, and this surely is going to be a side-by-side into Tiergarten.
Well, leaving the Climbers Carousel early, Yellow Vision will understand now that this is a case of the Stag reeling in the opportunity here and saying, you are in my business. I want to go and get this past the Taurus entrance side by side. The Stag at 267 clicks under the Bilstein Bridge, and is gonna just get the clearance then over to T13 that sees now the lead change, and the Stag understanding that it's his chance to go and win this race, and he's got to do it better than anybody else. Josh's corner, Storm Molina, third and fourth, and then Elvis Rankin at the last point of this straight is going to look to get a run. No, he's going to bump Storm Molina then into being pushed forward, and now working in the Stag with the fastest lap of a 7:50.5. Elvis is going to want to try and get the run, I would argue here now, John, into turn number 1 on circuit. This is going to be where you're going to have to get it done, and that's a lift.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to pressure the GT3 drivers into making a mistake or battling. The most successful overtakes we've seen is when the GT3s battle all the way up the inside. No way, you can't do that. You can do that, apparently. A little bit of a bump, and that is Storm Molina just pushed out wide. Josh's corner defends it though too. Well, all around the outside, and that's become the inside. They can't get the switch back. They've been tagged. They've been spun round, unfortunately. Elvis just, I think, underestimating the speed difference there on the exit, and sadly, that is Josh's corner all the way around on turn 2 of the lap.
That is what we call in the business being driven through. And there's nothing Josh's corner can do because he just can't get out of the corner thanks to the traction control.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. So it's a great move up until this point. I think just on the switchback, underestimating, and that's where you're tagged, and he just keeps it on throttle. and that is where Josh's corner spun around. Probably the rear wheels lifted up even, so the traction control can't do anything if your wheels aren't touching the ground.
No, they can't do anything at all, and there's nothing that is there and available to say, right, I am able to keep the car pointing the direction that I need to. 13 is a lucky number for some. For Punju, he will use this as a way to now attack Josh's corner for position. Up through the Vidal chicane, over now onto the Nordschleife proper. You have to climb up the hill here, big old curve on the left-hand side. It's one of these old school circuits in the sense of you cannot attack a curve here.
Well, you can't attack a curve, and yet the drivers will try it every single lap, I can tell you that much, through Hatzenbag there, and it's really just a case of you have to be confident to attack the curves. You have to know how the car is going to react, but the problem is, if you get it even just 5 centimeters too much to the left or to the right, you can bottom out or just hit the grass on the other side of the track, and that could be your race done, or indeed a lot of time lost. And for Punju, just scraping the floor sometimes there, and just not getting the purchase when he needs to pump the throttle and get just up into the gearbox of Josh's corner. We'll say for Josh's corner, that car is moving around a lot, probably overheated tyres as well through flood flats still from that little bit of a spin, so he's going to be reeling this lap from those tyre temperatures.
I'm just taking a look at the gap here, and it's a sizable gap between first and second, and where third is currently with Elvis Rankin. It's a huge difference.
Punju,
big
round
look
the
to the outside. Here comes the chance, trying to make it work. Josh's corner in the middle of Arenberg is going to get that covered off, and doing a brilliant job then of fending off that move and that position, saying lovely stuff under the Xiaomi signage there, going up towards Ardenau first. This is through compression and the foxhole, and now up at Ardenau first. This is the Vista view where you just get the first real chance for about the first part of the lap here on the Nordschleife to go and relax.
For all of 10 seconds and then panic again. But you could see there actually from the off-board shots how much more stable the McLaren is over the curbs versus the BMW. You just can't attack, and it looks like the stiffness of suspension on the BMW really putting a spanner in the works as downhill now through that will be into Kallenhard and all of the corners downhill. This really tricky section which finishes with X Müller. We've seen so many overtakes here, but so many mistakes as well. Ryan Littlemore, this is where it went all wrong for Ryan Littlemore, and I think it was Josh's corner as well that was impacted early on in the race. Josh's corner has made a great comeback, I must say.
Yeah, he's done very, very well.
All over the curb, all over the grass.
Yeah, and Rasmussen, I don't think knows what to do with it. This is a battle of your Season 3 champions.
Indeed, yes, racing in different categories last season, but now same machinery, same bit of tarmac. Can either one make a decisive move? I would say Reska Kyoso is faster, and I'll tell you what, Ancephalosis has said, you know what, I'm not going to battle this one too hard. I want to survive this lap.
Oh, well, it's going to fight back on X Müller over the top of the crest, and now over towards Bergwerk. Lovely stuff between them, but really fighting. Reski gets a pass, and so I would say you're just trying to find the way. There's a lovely understanding between these two. I'm not going to fight it out there. I'm not going to do too much. That's the equivalent of sitting back if you were Spain and going, okay, I want to go and qualify myself from the group. I will take the draw and basically try and hedge my bets on the points.
They are aware they're not teammates in this race, right? They are aware they're racing for pride. I hope nobody reminds them of that, because we might see a monumental battle between them. Talking about monumental battles, here's the Stag and Yellow Vision. Still a line astern, but this time the Stag has found a way past, and I tell you what, Yellow Vision doesn't look like they're taking it lightly.
No, very much in the wheelhouse. Very much looking to prove that this is going to be one where you say, I can go and navigate and gain the positions, but I also would argue as well at this point, it's around the pit window.
It certainly is, yes. The race has gone by like a flash, I will say, and briefly I was thinking, hang on a minute, what was the stint last time out? So a lot of people just eking the fuel out, and you've got to think some drivers are close to being able to add an extra lap, but, you know, what can you do? Is it worth doing an extra lap? Probably not. You could go to the end of the race on maybe a 3/4 a tank of fuel, maybe, according to my calculations at this point. So it's going to be a little bit of a splash and dash situation for all of the drivers, but you want to be confident. It's a long lap if you run out of fuel.
Yeah, the worst bit as well is when you're trying to go and clutch along the Dottinger Herb. Very tough to get it back from that place if you run out and you find yourself short. So you've got to be very switched on to where everyone is making what they can out for it. A little bit further back down in the pack is Lithium Fox. Look at the update there for Lith in terms of what the model looks like. That is ear physics.
Pro sim racing right now with the ventilation on the ears as well. I'll tell you what, there's more ventilation right there on that camera than there is in my commentary box room here at the moment. It's quite hot here in Europe. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So Lithium Fox really just trying to put pressure at the two in front at the moment. It's looking like not much can happen without them making a mistake. But you know what? It looks like every driver's pushing the limits at the moment. And you know what that means around the Nordschleife? Someone is going to come a cropper.
Yeah, Sparks and Adam Nunez then in front. And so it's all about holding yourself steady into Brunchen corner and holding yourself out steady through. And you're just trying to get out of this section. And this is the part of the circuit where all the corners blend and meld into one job.
It is, and they approach so fast. Yeah, indeed, and everybody will be in at the end of this lap. I think in the GT3 class, we'll have to wait and see what the Porsche Cup cars do. But it's the part of the racetrack where you just have to push the limit and hope that it sticks. You've got so many corners that are sort of a complex of 5 corners. So if you go wide in one, you're going off into the next one. And so, once again, the Cup cars carry on around. Not everybody, though. I think that's Dan Amorin.
Yeah, so Dan's going to take this now and say, can I come out with someone and know where my battle station is? Currently, it's 23 seconds, 24.1 in the box for Yellow Vision. The Stag's going to come out exactly just ahead. So brilliant stuff. Not much is going to be needed here from Dan Amore on this stop, you feel, to go and get this home. But this is about being aggressive. But there's also the sense that Dan might have underfueled it slightly on his stop to try and stay with the likes of those around, the likes of Elvis Rankin.
I think also it may be a strategy just to try and get some clean air. Dan Amore have been stuck really behind some of the GT3s, so you don't really want anybody in front of you. If you've ever driven the Porsche Cup car in the sort of one-make race, you'll know that if you're stuck behind someone, you have understeer, and it's just more and more and more, and the car's naturally a little bit understeery as well in certain scenarios, so you have to be careful about applying the power. You want clean air in that car, and so maybe Dan just deciding, I'll pit early, I'll do that offset strategy like I was talking about earlier, and see if it can bring me back into contention with Elvis. And if we can, do some bump drafting after that, that will, I think, Jake, definitely be the case, as you said. It's a complex one, though, because, as you know, with strategy, there's about 10 different parameters. Interesting.
Took tyres and had a stop that was slower than the likes of Punju. Oh, Punju's off the road down at the Goodyear Spanger and has just saved it. So lucky lad there as he tried to get that one in. And of course, Gareth Allen is lightning fast on a Punju replay. Loves to see it when it goes wrong for him. On the brakes, into the right, just held on to it.
He has a special button set up on his keypads just to switch to a Punju replay. I'm sure about that, but that was lucky to only put 2 wheels on the grass and recover it. I tell you what, good recovery there. But time lost, as usual, around the Nordschleife, it punishes you. And once again, hey, look at these two. They've made a pit stop. Guess what's changed? Absolutely nothing. They're still hounding each other.
This might be for the win between them, depending on Elvis Rankin here and how long his stop is. He's got to get a transit time from one end of the pit lane to the other of 25 seconds. That's going to be very tough to do, but knowing that he's probably 2 laps away from his final stop of the race here is Elvis. These are the critical laps to see whether this is going to be a race win or otherwise.
Yeah, you need to look at that time for the Stag, 23.6 seconds behind. It is closing up, but you would expect that through the corners. It's on the straights that the Cup car maybe has a little bit less of a disadvantage, so it will be all about just maximising the turns. You can see the lines there, perfect, and just it's almost a form of artwork to watch some of these pro drivers race, because they are maximising every millimetre, every braking zone, even lifting and coasting to save fuel just to the exact millisecond that they need to just eke out another lap of performance, and that's what puts them in a different ballpark. That's why we've had to nerf them today by putting them in a different car.
Love 46 on screen right now in 12th position in the class right now, so he's 15th on the road, staring down the barrel of the unsafety car who has gone through and has made the pass. Just behind, Auburn Kyle is then that driver who's got to sit to be ready. And we are racing here, John, in the middle of an iRacing Week 13, which means there's all sorts of different updates that have been done. And my favourite update that's come in, really helpful for me around the Nürburgring, mini-map.
Yes, everyone had been asking about that, and I've been hearing about that for quite a while now, and people have been going crazy. It's a huge help, to be fair, to have the mini-map, to be able to see where everyone is, even if it's just for strategy, knowing where there's a gap in the racing, where you can maybe slot yourself into. So very, very good update, I would say, and I think one that will be popular with everyone. Just wanted to say as well for Love 46, you know it's a good racetrack when every two corners you have a smile on your face. There are very few tracks that have that sort of impression on a driver, even if you've driven it so many times. This is possibly the greatest of the greatest, and that's a round.
That's Punju. And no shocks then. Gareth was immediately onto it, our director. And that one is coming through then at Megetsfeld. So through the right, tries to hold on to it, just slightly overcooks it, catches the curb wrong, down to Callanhard, bang, into the Armco.
And it's a perfectly captured...
That's skill issues.
Just trying to reverse it as well. Can't get the grip, and I think there's maybe still some damage that needs to reset.
Beached it, had to tow.
Oh my days. That's just what track knowledge can get you. Well, I mean, everyone knows there's a curb on the inside there, but when you're trying to recover, getting out of the way of people, you forget that. I can't believe it. Can you? And you're just sat there.
Oh, Sparks! Hi, Sparks!
The irony is, if Punju would have waited maybe half a second more, the problem would have been solved right there.
Well, Sparks tried. Punju was not patient enough.
Incredible. I can't believe what I've just watched. I can't believe that Gareth, our producer, was able to just click that impeccably. Oh, it just disappears the instant that the two cars collide. You couldn't get timing like that. Maybe another millisecond, the Sparks would have just driven straight through. Crazy. But also, Gareth, you're never beating the allegations.
Wow. Currently, 24 seconds margin right now between Elvis Rankin and the Stag on circuit. So that's the focus at the moment. We look with Storm Molina there in 6th position. There is the Stag taking a big old aggressive line there, working through now in towards Brunchen corners here. Through the right, using a lot of rumble strip there on the outside now, looks to try and climb out off the exit. It's not just about worrying about the pace of Elvis Rankin, it's trying to break the spirit of Yellow Vision behind.
Tell you what, that gap has basically stayed approximately the same, 23.6 last time out, so 24.9. The gap has increased a little bit, but not by much, you must say, and that's not really the delta that you need to make an overtake around here. They're definitely going to lose track position to the Stag and Yellow Vision, so really tricky at the moment to see where Elvis can make the difference at the moment. But I just want to say once again how just epic it is to watch these drivers. I have a smile on my face right now just watching them be on the limit. You can see the cars twitching into every corner, making minute corrections, are these drivers, and just absolute masterclass on display today in the Creative Series.
It's brilliant, and Yellow Vision really pushes hard, runs slightly wide, still within 3/4, 8/10 of a second, so still has a chance to pull this back on the Dottinger Herb. If you're inside of a second, you've got a chance.
And indeed. And I'd say one thing as well at the moment is you don't want to be battling at the moment. You've got 17 minutes left. You don't know where the Coanda boys are going to be at the end of the race. So you kind of have to sort of minimize the problems that you're going to have. As here we go. This is Elvis, I think, into the last turn. That was Hohenrein. And will we see a pit? Yes, we will. Into the pits we go.
So, 17 minutes. This is going to be a critical stop. He gets it down onto the margin here and says, right, this pit stop is going to be everything. Now is going to be looking at getting as much in as possible, and I will not expect tyres for just a 2-lap stint between now and the end. Where is the Stag going to be by comparison? Coming down the front straight now with Yellow Vision over towards turn 1. When does Elvis Rankin pull out of his box? Not yet. It's the Stag who leads. It's Yellow Vision trying, though, to steal the race lead away in towards turn number 1. Not going to find it then on that attempt, but the up and under brings side by side to the AMG Arena. It's 2 left-handers off camber. Well, 1 off camber and 1 with camber to go and get the move done. Still not there. Mia Rose still yet to make a final stop. Same for Jordan Johnson. Now leaving pit is Elvis Rankin. A lot of work to do. I think he needs these two to come together.
It's a 1-minute pit stop. I don't exactly know what's happened there, but well, saying 35-second pit stop, 1-minute pit lane, I guess that does make sense. So that would indicate that they maybe took tyres, which is weird.
Didn't go on the jacks. That's just fuel limit.
Yeah, indeed. So none of these Cup drivers have taken tyres then, looking at the pit stop time. So that will put them at a little bit of a disadvantage as well.
They won't use a fuel rig system. They'll use gallon jugs.
Just chuck it in the car the best way you can. Just have a removable fuel tank at that point. Just a forklift to crane another one in, I guess.
Fighting hard, no move at Vidal. There's Mia Rose. She's there in 3rd position, trying to eke out as much as she can. Leader of the Porsche 992.2 category, and really has been exciting to see the update of the brand new Porsche and what's coming up on iRacing with the regional qualifiers coming up for the Porsche Esports Super Cup.
Yep, iRacing never has any downtime, that's for sure, in terms of competitions, and it's great to see just the amount of enthusiasm we still have in the sim racing world to just have such close racing. The Porsche Cup Series is always one that I watch because it's just, well, a tooth and nail. Door-to-door racing, and you just can't get any better, really. It's just sort of that thoroughbred racing that we love to see. But talking about that, Stag and Yellow Vision at the moment just clearing off once again. Miro's P3 at the moment. 15 seconds adrift. That gap has not changed in the past 3 laps. I tell you what, Miro's is just consistently on the pace, and the Stag leading this one still. These two have managed to find something in that Ford Mustang that no one else has. This is a class of their own at the moment.
It's pace. That's what they found over everyone else here, John. Pace.
Well, I wouldn't know anything about that, C. Jake. So,
well, nor would I. So that's why we're up here and they're out there.
Oh, that's a hurting ego right there from me. What? Ouch. Have I fallen off the pace that bad? The answer is yes. But one person that isn't falling off the pace, Yellow Vision, right on the gearbox of the Stag, practically pushing them through. And you have to say, these two are set for a battle right until the end unless they make a mistake. They are practically the same performance all throughout the racetrack. It's just that slipstream and that exit. If you can get maybe just a 2 mile per hour advantage on the exit of a corner, you can get alongside. Talking about alongside, here we go.
Rescacioso overtaken by Dan and Moore into Schwedenkreuz, and now Arenberg is just going to have it covered off. There, now Josh's corner puts into play, and this is going to be for 7th.
Yeah, that gap, I'll tell you what, Elvis has really pulled out the gap on Dan and Moore, so maybe you were right in the fact that Dan and Moore short-fueled that previous stint. Tell you what, Josh's corner is under a huge amount of pressure here. In theory, that McLaren should be faster, but look at Dan looking for a way past, just punting around the corner. There's been contact before with the other Coanda car. Hopefully no more contact with Josh's corner, but this is the cork in the bottle at the moment, and I don't think Josh's corner can resist for 12 minutes.
Gotta love the spit of flame that goes out the back of that McLaren when it shifts down the gears. It's something of a real sight to go and see every time, and I'm sure that you know, Dan Moore is sat on the back right now and he's got the marshmallows out the windows going, come on, I've got s'mores to make.
He's got to be at home in time for tea, and at the moment, Josh's corner is about a tenth of a second too late, and that makes the difference. So we'll have to wait and see. I think the next overtaking opportunity, you can't really do anything down here once again, right up until you get to Brightsides, which is in just a second here. No way, not around the outside, you can't do that, surely not to the inside. Oh, he thought about it, last of the late braking, but Josh's corner just ran it really late on the brakes, then through Exfluger.
On the run. Very good. Look at that run. Dan Moore just hooked it up there as he went on through at the Exmüller. Now at Bergwerk commands the inside and says, you ain't getting it like that. And now here comes Rescacioso to the party, trying to find a way to get Rexy to move on by through. Not going to work. So they're now going to fall themselves into line through Lauder Links. And Dan Moore has got that clearance now up to 7th. Little ways away right now is Storm Molina. That's the end goal here for Dan Moore. Storm Molina and Elvis Rankin.
Yeah, it's looking like, again, that 9-second gap between the two Brandon cars, so that's quite a margin to close in. I'll tell you what, Rescacioso had a lot of pace there in that Porsche up the hill, maybe, surely not into Mutkurva. That's a dangerous overtaking spot at the best of times. Yes, and no overtake found. Now for them it's into Stahlstrecke, and it's a very tricky corner, banked corner though, so most of these corners you will be able to carry a lot of speed into the carousel, one of my favourite corners to be sure, but again you've got to hook it in and you've got to just pray that the car doesn't understeer or oversteer. Very good for the McLaren, but of course gets a great exit. Rescacioso still applying the pressure. You have to say that once again we're just seeing...
Stag's off! Stag's off! And now has lost the race lead, has over-pushed it here coming out of Brunchen and away into the next section. That is just a pure pressure moment on a driver who never makes mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, trying to do the rally special right there as the Stag, but not working at the moment, and just off onto the grass once you're there.
Hang on.
It looked like you were understeer. It
John,
was understeer.
Look
Yes.
at the time on the clock. If they don't cross with 8.5 minutes, they're going another lap around.
Well, that might be interesting in terms of fuel. I hope all of the drivers have calculated that. Otherwise, we might see some people either not recognising that they might be marginal on fuel. It's going to be really close, isn't it? What do you think, Jake?
From here, a minute 15. And I think they can do a minute 15 from the Golden Cop corner over to the start-finish line.
Surely.
They are going to have to battle really hard, and this might suddenly turn into a fuel saver, a sip and a siphon of fuel rather than what we've seen. It might also be the reason why we saw the likes then of Elvis Rankin go longer on the stop, because they've got an extra lap to do, a 12th potentially around here. There goes the Stag to the inside. Yellow Vision has to leave the room at Tiergarten. Now down the hill, lovely. Pass is made, but I think they are going to be short to the line here by about 30 seconds. Here as they cross. We're going for another lap around after this one.
Can you believe it? I was just watching the timer count down. It's not even going to be close. 8:57 as they cross the line there. So really, well, Solstice in the pit lane, and that's your first driver that needs to pit for fuel.
I believe Solstice has gone around again and has tried to be cheeky and is basically going around, taking the Grand Prix layout and then taking the penalty.
Well, if it doesn't work once, you may as well try it twice, right? You got to get the stewards to comply at some point, is the reasoning from the driver. And I just want to say on Gareth, the replays weren't as snappy as when it was snapping to Punju. So yes, the allegations once again on that previous lap. But yeah, the Stag, again, a pressure moment because you've made that mistake. You need to get back on the pace. And a lot of drivers actually right now pitting. Mia Rose in the pits, Jordan Johnson in the pits as well. So the Porsche Cup cars not being able to go that extra lap and that distance, and it's a splash and dash right now.
Yeah, 2 laps of fuel needed. Jordan Johnson's taking it and is now running from the distance after starting in pits. Could be third in class here with Dan Moore not a million miles away down the road. Rescacioso in for a final little bit of fuel, a morsel to bring it back. But it's very noisy right now if you're Yellow Vision and you are just trying to hold your ground. You've lost the lead once again, but this is the difference between you've got it or you haven't. And these two have themselves a half a minute over Elvis Rankin.
Yeah, it's a lot, but do they have the fuel is the question. Have they calculated this? And does, I'm sure a pro driver would not run it so marginal, but does Elvis have the fuel as well? Has this been part of the calculation? See, throwing it through the last corners, the last chicane of the Grand Prix track, and then it will be the Sabine Schmitz corner to start the lap once again. You can see that no limit zone right there. That is why this track still exists. Just want to point that out as a little track detail. But you must say, the gap is closing though, 30 seconds now. So are the top two trying to save a bit of fuel? Yellow Vision has dropped off the back of the Stag a little bit.
Yeah, so the Stag, oh, that's a big old gap there. That's 1.7 seconds here, and that is due to a mistake. Yellow Vision working through, trying to get on the power, just gets over the curb, had to catch a tank slapper, and has been able to continue on, so that's why the gap's extended.
Second big drift from Yellow Vision then in this race. They look to have caught that one at least. So, yeah, for Yellow Vision, again, these two have made mistakes now in this last lap of racing. So the pressure is on. And I'll tell you what, Encephalosis under pressure from Fulcrum as well. So a lot of racing going on in the closing laps of the race. And this is just for pride at this part. And that BMW has some straight line speed. So Encephalosis will have to keep it clean and tidy through the corners.
Yep, Encephalosis needs to do so, and needs to do so well. Jordan Johnson, by the way, side by side at Flugplatz with Solstice for position. Oh, and there's contact, and bang! Jordan Johnson in the wall, Solstice in the wall, both of them in trouble.
Yeah, and they've rejoined practically at the same time as well, so round two, I guess. So over Flugplatz, both of them are going to get aired again. Oh, Solstice on the grass, trying to keep it around the outside. And about, I'd say, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. They're going for a stretch of road where to calculate going side by side is almost impossible, and to leave a margin of error is impossible, and that was sort of guaranteed to happen, I think, Jake.
Speaking of margins of error, this is side by side again. Encephalosis and Fulcrum. Oh, gets all over the curb. Fulcrum then scares Encephalosis off the road. That's a pass. It was bowling shoe ugly, but it works.
Look, psychological warfare has its practices in the world of motorsports as well. That was diabolical tactics, but if it works, it works. And Encephalosis, all he had to do was just carry on, but just, I think, the scare of having Fulcrum just dive up the inside on the brakes was enough to just catch them out. So I think we're about to have another replay of an incident just a few corners on, and that's Solstice having to take to the grass, just under pressure, too late on the brakes, understeering, and off the road.
Very tough to deal with there, and a difference maker that everybody, I think, knows and understands then is going to see strong differences over this race, and they are just trying to find the end, and they know that it's not damage that they've got to worry about. It's the mental strain of this circuit, because it is a circuit with 165 turns that they will do 12 times.
Yeah. And usually I'd use the phrase, you've got to stay alert on a street circuit, but this is no ordinary street circuit. This is just the uniqueness of it. Effectively, it's like driving, I'd say, a rally stage, but on a circuit. You have corner after corner, granted you know the corners, unlike in rally, but you just have to leave a margin of error. You have to leave something out there. Because if you go 110% everywhere, you're going off the road every 2 laps. And so it's one of those races that humbles drivers, but also it teaches drivers a lot. And frequently you see drivers, sim racers of any level, really, once they've done a few races of the Nordschleife, they really excel at other tracks as well. So it's a special event for every driver, that's for sure.
It very much would do, and this is the sort of circuit as well that is very, very testing out there in many different factors and guises. You've got to just make sure that you bring yourself around. And also, what makes this circuit unique, John, the logos on the circuit, all that graffiti there. I don't think there is ever going to be a circuit that looks like this.
No, for sure, and I love to see the personal touch that people put on the track when they visit it, and you see those messages change year in, year out when the track is resurfaced, and it provides an extra bit of detail as well for the drivers. Paradoxically, sometimes when you're looking at a track, you can't really see the bumps and the divots and the crests, whereas actually if you've got effectively paint or any sort of text on the track, you can see, oh, the paint disappears, there's a bump there, or there's a divot, and you can use that information to your advantage. Don't think they need to use it around the carousel, that one's pretty obvious that there's something there. But it's sort of like a tribute from the fans to the circuit, and that's what makes it special to have that renewed every single year.
Well, 2 minutes left on the clock. They will have to finish the lap that they find themselves on, but for the moment, Yellow Vision, what tenacity to pull this back. That gap was 1.5 seconds here, and now suddenly here, John, it's 0.4 of a second, and a move for the race lead coming.
So I want to say I have no idea whether any driver is going to pit, but it's going to be possibly someone conking out of fuel on the last lap. That's going to be my prediction. Who? I have no idea. Although the Stag is ducking and weaving, trying to break that slipstream. Yellow Vision not close enough at the moment into Tiergarten. It may be a late move, but realistically, you don't want to do it right now. They will pull out of the slipstream. Yellow Vision may be just electing to not do it on this lap. There will be 1 lap remaining, and so that is the close of the penultimate lap that you're seeing right now. These two fighting it out for victory. Elvis has done a great race, but it's going to be 30 seconds, and that gap has not closed the entire lap.
It's these two, and it's these two only that have gone and got to go for it. They have proven over this race that they are better than the esports pros with the advantage that they've had. The difference is, it's who is going to come out on top between the Stag and Yellow Vision. 1 lap shootout left here at the Nürburgring.
You couldn't write it if you tried. This is what racing is all about. The sort of fluctuations of the racing, the unknowns, effectively, and it all comes down to this. Sometimes it ends in a grandstand finish, and I tell you what, in the Creator Series, we do have a lot of them. Can't wait to see. But if there's one time that you want to be leading on to the last lap, you say, oh yeah, it's a really short lap. That's not the case in this one. There's a lot of racing yet to go.
There is so much racing left, and there is still so many differences that can crop up here in these final stages where you can say, okay, I am going to be looking for this one better than anybody else. I am going to be looking to score a result as this one set. So I would be keeping a good old turn here at what Yellow Vision and the Stag have up against each other. They now leave the Grand Prix circuit for the final time. Move on to the Nordschleife, stare down the Sabine Schmitz curve, and this is where you're just going to have to be steady on, find yourself with the moves, and give yourself everything that you want. Solstice down in the pits to serve her penalty, will drop her way down the order even further, but the Stag here trying to stretch those legs. 0.5 seconds, you've got to break a second at least here.
Got to be aggressive, but I think just the Stag being very aggressive with the curbs at the moment, so just hopping over at certain points, and you can see Yellow Vision saying, well, I'm going to have to do the same. I don't really want to. And you can sense that the tyres as well giving out. Look at that slip of traction. The traction control really deploying there for the Stag. Yellow Vision gains another car length, and it won't be side by side through Flugplatte, but there's definitely going to be some overtaking opportunities around the lap. Who can take it flat just about for both of the Mustangs? And now it's the long ride down to Schwedenkreuz and to Arenberg. Will we see any attempt at an overtake? No lifting and coasting whatsoever at the moment.
No, and this is where you just got to be super duper aggro. Find a way to get it. Arenberg corner's going to see nothing between these two. Middle of the road is going to be trying to get the rotation through and then pushing to get out of the other side. Some great stuff. You've also got Ancephalosis, Mia Rose, Sparks, Reska Kyoso. Those 4 together on circuit 2. Up then through the foxhole, up through compression, and now over towards Ardenauer first. The Stag having to use all the road and take a very shallow line through here, gathers it back. Yellow Vision is cranking the pressure up.
Yeah, Yep, into Metzgersfeld in a minute, and it's going to be that long run downhill that we see every single lap, and that's where you can get an overtake just at the bottom of the hill. So it's all about confidence here. Who can carry the speed? Who can carry the line? Because there's a safe line through here, clipping the apexes, but if you want to push the throttle a little bit, take it more wide toward the outside of the corner, that's where the speed is, that's where the confidence is. Who will take the risk? The Stag just defending at the moment, nothing to show between these drivers. They're taking pretty much the same line, and it is going to be still a run probably for Exmuller once again that's going to decide this one, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a difference maker here, so we are going to see just how important it's going to be. The run up through Exmuller is going to be everything, John.
Yeah, for sure. Here they go into Breitscheid once again for the final time through Exmuller. Bump just as you approach the apex, and just before, who gets the traction? It does look like Yellow Vision got a better exit right there. The Stag just struggling a little bit with the traction control. It could be a run up the hill for Kesselchen right now, and it will be Mutkurv, the final sort of lift off that they'll have to have. That's Bergwerk just before they get there. So now it's flat out all the way up the hill. Use that slipstream. They got the same amount of power, the same aerodynamics. It will be all down to the driver where they can place the car. Who is going to blink first? That is the question.
Well, here comes the chase. Do you want it now, or are you going to wait for the Dottinger Herd to go and get this sorted? No damage here is set as the rules of engagement here. Working now through Klostertal and the mute curve here, this left. No move offered, but look at the road. All of it being used right now by the Stag and Yellow Vision. This is a duel of two Mustangs trying to prove one is better than the other. And as far as this goes, it's a North American derby right now here. It's Canada versus America.
Oh, can you believe it? They're copying each other's lines. The Yellow Vision just using the Stag as sort of a benchmark for what you can do. The Yellow Vision just a little bit wider into the carousel, carrying a little bit more speed, closing that gap once again. But you have to say after this, there's not much that you can do up to Acht, and will you be able to do anything through here? You've got to wait for the fast section. You've got to wait for at least Flansgarten to try and make some overtakes. But it's so tricky when you've got that dirty air, that outwash, and there's not much you can do about it. You've just got to deal with the understeer. You can see the Stag opening up the gap because of that. Really bouncy over the curbs, but these drivers are leaving nothing on the table at this point.
6/10 is still enough, but look at it, 7/10, almost 8. Really attacked hard there through Wippermann and Eschbach. Now here, heading towards Brunchen. This is where the Stag is starting to stretch the table a little bit further. In the gravel on the outside. Yellow Vision sees the gap claw out to 1.3.
Can you believe it? I just saw on the turn-in, I knew they were going to go into the gravel. Just no purchase on the tyres whatsoever, just a little bit wide, touch of the curb on the inside, and that's enough to put two wheels in the gravel. Worst case of that is that you've now got to turn in on those tyres. 1 second is the gap. Slipstream won't be enough here. You've got to produce a miracle right now as we go through the Stefan Beloff S. You've got to think that right now the Stag is his to throw away.
Schrabenschwanz is the key corner, still within 9/10. There's a chance. 8/10. Look at that gap. 10th by 10. Corner by corner. Kleiner's carousel. The Stag right now is going to suddenly see that gap's there. Still 9/10 of a second. Not a great run off of the exit into the Goldenkopf for the final time. And now this drag along the Dottinger Herd is going to be absolutely critical between them. Yellow Vision now has got to find a way to claw this back. Left-hand side of the road, it is for the Stag. They've got the gap over Elvis Rankin. Now it's just who wants it more as they work themselves over to the tourist entrance. Gap down to 4/10 of a second and clawing down under 4 now to 3/10. Soon to 2. This could be an all-out move from Yellow Vision. He's going to have to leave it late under the Bill Steinbridge at Tiergarten. Here comes the chance for Yellow Vision to get this move outside into T13. Loses the back end in the wall. Stag survives. Stag survives. Stag survives and wins. Here, your creator versus Esports Pro Challenge. And was it ever in doubt?
I am speechless after that. That was an incredible battle down into Tiergarten. I was looking at the gap thinking, there's enough. They'll be alongside. And then just as they dart to the left there, they are alongside. But it's just a little bit of a tap. I think there was contact between the two cars. A little bit of an overcorrection. Yellow Vision in the barrier. They should be able to recover as donuts happen. Yellow Vision does finish the race in P2 with Elvis Rankin completing the podium, you have to say, for the Coanda driver. That was a heck of a drive.
They're going to be finishing here for the next 6.5 minutes as they cross the line here. Very happy is Storm Molina in 4th position. Will outlast Dana Moore there as the top 5 gets itself rounded up. John, an incredible run. And from this point onwards, it's from you all the way to the end, buddy.
Yeah, I cannot believe the racing we've had today. Just absolutely impressive as Sormelina P4, Dana Moore P5, and this is Josh's corner rounding out a P6, which could have probably been more if it wasn't just for the contact, but you know, what can you do? That is racing at the end of the day. And for Josh's corner, he'll be very glad that he's survived. Jordan Johnson will be the next car to cross the line, hassled by Reska Kyoso. That's Mia Rose actually coming across the line now, hassled by Reska Kyoso. So this is for P9. Who will it be to the line? Mia Rose just giving a bit of a tap, and I think it was Mia Rose across the line. Can you believe it? Just full throttle racing right until the end. 1/100th of a second, as I think there's a few cars that have run out of fuel on the last lap of the race. That is Solstice with Sparks ahead, and that is one of the unsafety cars as well. So they're just bump drafting, pushing, lights flashing. This is the way to finish in style, as they say. Oh, well, not anymore. Oh, dear. That, I don't think that has worked out very well. That is the danger of bump drafting in iRacing. You've seen it here. And Sparks, unfortunately, has taken a little bit of a dip there. I'm not sure if they'll make it to the end. But unsafety car coming round at the moment just to complete, it looks like, for a P14. Solstice still just giving a little bit of the bump draft. But I mean, we have seen some incredible racing today, just with the amount of overtakes. I mean, Jake has referenced it before, but I'll say it as well, just the spectacular driving as Solstice looks will just give a little bit of a bump to the Stag. But I don't think they realise the Stag has finished the race. They don't need to bump draft them. Just giving a little bit of a tappy tap, saying appreciation for the race. And a tap back from the Stag. Well, you couldn't make this up if you tried. As we have, I think this is Auburn Kyle as well, P17. So you can see the gaps throughout the race, depending on the collisions. Really pulled out, especially in the second and third stints for our drivers. Quite a few just getting involved in a few collisions. For Auburn Kyle, the pace was there. Just a few argy-bargy contact moments, not necessarily their fault, of course, but sadly, in the world of motorsports, there's not much you can do about that. I'm sure they wanted more, but P16 it will be for the moment. They'll have their chance in the regular season. As we can see, Sparks has indeed probably run out of fuel, and there's not much they can do about it. And that, I think, is that Adam Nunes just trying to recover a little bit? Oh, I thought they were out of fuel. I was wondering then. I was just checking the telemetry, just thinking, what's going on there? I think they were just checking on Sparks. So, rounding out the corner, and that will be the last driver, I think, across the line in P18. So, here are your race results. Finally, the Stag completes a marathon there to win here in the Nordschleife with Yellow Vision racing right until the penultimate corner. Once again, the Nordschleife unforgiving for Yellow Vision. P2, 13 seconds down eventually, but they were side by side. Elvis Rankin in P3, the first of the Porsche Cup drivers. So again, a great race, great overtaking, 27 seconds down. Most of that due to pit stops, to be fair. So the pace was there right from the get-go until the end. Stormelina P4. Dana Moore, just, I think, maybe a few strategy decisions didn't go in his favour. P5 it was, but again, some great overtakes in the Cup car. Josh's corner, as I said previously, a bit unlucky in this one. P6, great pace. Jordan Johnson making a great recovery from, I think, that pit lane start. So, yeah, again, great. 1 minute behind the pace, but it doesn't tell the full story of the race. Fulcrum making the ultimate defensive driving in P8, but the pace just not there at the moment. Mia Rose and Reska Kyoso crossing the line, effectively line astern, but it was Mia Rose by 100th of a second. Well, I mean, what can you say about that racing? The Nordschleife has everything, and we always expect everything. I just don't think we expect everything to happen at the same time. Except it's the Creator Series, and it did. And I don't think we... will we be having some interviews? Just checking with our producer. We won't be having interviews, sadly, on this one. We wanted to contribute onto the racing as much as possible, and time has overrun a little bit. I'm sure, as a spectator, you can appreciate that. And I just want to close out by saying it's delivered once again, I have to say. The Stag and Yellow Vision just delivering a grandstand race, but you've seen how overtakes can be made around sometimes impossible corners. It delivers once again at Nordschleife, but you'll see on our regular viewing that it delivers every time on the ovals with the NASCARs. And I hope you tune in and see us next time. It's been a pleasure to commentate, and again, I'll have to say it for Jake as well. It's been one of those races that you only get to experience once because of its uniqueness, and I hope you've had a great time watching. Catch us on Wednesday evenings for the NASCAR full season. And thank you once again to Gareth Allen for producing. I know he doesn't like me saying that, but I have to say it every single time. But from me, from the commentary box, we just have to say thank you ever so much for watching. It's been our pleasure. We hope to catch you next time. But sadly, a race has to come to an end. And for the Stag, it's a victory and a lot of champagne, I can guess. Thank you ever so much once again, and goodbye for now.